Well, blessings, everybody, and welcome back to our study, Understanding the Anger of God. As you can see here, this is the 9th course of the Kings and Prophets series. Lesson 4, video 2. That sounds so serious, doesn't it? But I thank you for spending these little incremental times of 3 to 4 to 5 minutes as we just go through the Word of God. Be certain that you read the Word, okay? Don't just listen to the videos. For instance, today, read the first chapter of Nahum, because this is an amazing chapter, What we see right here is that the oracle of the Lord was being released through Nahum, and it begins with an amazing description of God and His power. And the reason it gives us is this is the basis of God's judgment upon Nineveh. And here's just some of the things we find out about God. We find out that He is jealous and that He's avenging. Well, if man is described in that way, of being jealous and avenging, it usually has a connotation of being negative and of being ensconced within sin, and that's the truth. But God is jealous and is avenging without sin. He is jealous for His people, and He avenges the wrong done against His people. God reserves wrath for His enemies. We learn that He uses other nations to judge His people, but will judge those nations. Nineveh is a great example of that. 100 years prior to this time, He had used Nineveh to judge the nation of Israel. But now He was going to judge them. God is slow to anger. God is merciful. He will judge evil, and He will punish the guilty. And we also see here that the one who knows the Lord as good and as a stronghold can take refuge in God. We see that we are to take refuge in the Lord. The Lord is telling His people that He will make a complete end to Nineveh. He pursues His enemies into darkness, okay? So what we see right here is that Nineveh and Assyria, in verses 8 through 11, that their devising and their plotting was actually against God, but there was going to come a complete end. And then He's speaking to Judah in verses 12 through 13. He says God used Assyria to afflict and to judge Judah, but He would break Nineveh's yoke of affliction upon them. Then verse 14 is back to Nineveh again. Nineveh's name would not continue. There would be no descendants. It's to such a degree that it is said that when Alexander the Great conquered that area right there, that he was literally upon the land where Nineveh stood and did not know it. And we see that God has power over life and death. In verse 15, He's speaking to Judah again. And He's saying, peace is going to come. He said, my people will be able to worship and celebrate the feast. It's a promise of restoration. He said, never again would Assyria pass through Israel, but would be completely cut off. And so we see a tremendous account here of restoration, of hope. Yet, this restoration, this hope was going to be down the road away. First judgment was going to come because what the people of the Lord had done. Take these things before the Lord. Meditate upon them and see what He speaks to you. And I'll see you again next time.